The mutant is revealed, as today we build issues 19 to 22 of Hachette's Dalek Partworks, a series where, over the course of around 140 issues, you can build your very own highly detailed remote-controlled Dalek from Doctor Who. Issue 19 opens not with a television story featuring the Daleks this time, but instead a synopsis of the 10th Doctor Adventures novel, Prisoner of the Daleks, first published in 2009, with its evocative cover of a frozen Dalek. The Doctor must prevent the Daleks from gaining access to the Archeon threshold, which would allow them to win with the war against humanity. The Time Vortex catalogues the multimedia arc Time Lord Victorious, a storyline created in 2020 that spanned novels, comics, magazines, audio adventures, theatre, and even animation. And finally, we have a new resident for the inside of the Dalek. Yes, it's the mutant himself. This little guy is cast from fairly tough foam rubber in a pinkish hue, which I wish was much darker, as it would really highlight the various flaps and crevices on this little fella. The steps are pretty simple for this one. Take the mutant and the control center assembly from the previous issue, place the mutant on the seat with its legs freely hanging over the seat and video screen, and then take him off again because we have more parts to assemble before he can take his rightful place as the supreme being. Tough work. We somewhat take for granted the appearance of the Dalek mutant in the new series of Doctor Who, but back in the day it was treated as one of the show's best kept secrets. In the very first Dalek story from 1963, the Doctor and Ian scoop up and discard the contents from inside a Dalek, and judging by Ian's reaction, it isn't a pretty sight. Apparently, the episode's director Richard Martin was prepared to show what the mutant looked like on camera, but producer Verity Lambert made him reshoot that scene so that only a grisly-looking claw remained in the final edit. The next appearance of a Dalek mutant came in the 1966 story, The Power of the Daleks, where, in the reconstruction at least, the audience sees bubbling green blobs with tendrils being scooped into their casings on the production line. When the city of Skaro comes under attack in 1967's The Evil of the Daleks, casings are blown open to reveal the mutant within. However, as this too is largely a missing story, we can't be entirely certain how much of that was actually shown on screen. In 1975's Genesis of the Daleks and 1979's Destiny of the Daleks, the mutants are depicted as cephalopod-like, or globular, soft, and shapeless blobs, capable of latching on and attacking their victims. A Dalek is thoroughly taken to task in 1983's The Five Doctors, where we clearly see a green amorphous creature with tentacles, leaking slime everywhere as it clings on to dear life. A similar effect is used in 1984's Resurrection of the Daleks, when the Daleks are destroyed aboard the space station. Once again, the mutant proves capable of surviving independently, attacking with its exposed brain and thrashing tentacles. The next major mutant appearance, in 1988's Remembrance of the Daleks, shows a significant upgrade. It's described as augmented, surgically altered, with appendages physically grafted on, shortly after a clawed arm attempts to throttle the Doctor. It wasn't until the new series that we got a truly clear look at the creature inside the casing, leaning into the cephalopod design, a single sorrowful eye, an enlarged brain, tentacles, and a much more defined body, this time rendered in blues and purples. That basic design has remained relatively consistent throughout the modern era. That is, until the 2019 story Resolution, where scattered Dalek remains across the globe recombine into an almost person-sized octopus-like creature, dominated by a large pink brain. Largely green in colour with tentacles of varying sizes, it's capable of taking over a human host and operating them like a vehicle. Like their casings, Dalek mutants have evolved over the decades, not only as prosthetics, animatronics, and visual effects have improved, but as the story has demanded they become something more advanced, more dangerous, and more grotesque each time. One thing's for sure, we'll be keeping our eye on this little one. Issue 20 covers The Escape, the third episode of the 1963 William Hartnell story to first feature the Daleks, where the Doctor and his companions devise a plan to break out of their prison cell. The behind-the-scenes feature looks at how the early Daleks were built, reminding us of Terry Nation's description of the Daleks as hideous machine-like creatures. They are legless, moving on a round base. They have no human features. A lens on a flexible shaft acts as an eye. Arms with mechanical grips for hands. The build continues its focus on the midsection, the Dalek Mutant Control Centre. Take the container and pipe connection. Fit the tab into the recess at the bottom and secure parts together with a screw. Take the second set of parts and fit them together the same way, fixing them with a screw. Next, take the assembly from issue 18 and fit the wall piece so that the rim of the wall sits into the recess, with the 4 raised screw sockets. fit together with 4 screws. With the assembly the right way up, take the container and pipe assembly and fit it to the wall panel behind the seat rest. Do the same with the next container and pipe assembly on the other end of the wall. Turn the assembly around and fix each of the containers in place using the screws provided. And there you have one wall fitted to the control chamber, complete with accompanying pipework. Issue 21 looks at episode 3 of the 1972 Jon Pertwee story Day of the Daleks, where the Doctor arrives in the 22nd century to find Earth under the brutal rule of the Daleks. The Time Vortex continues its exploration of Davros, creator of the Daleks, during the final days of the Khaled Thal War, when his Mark III travel machine was reaching a critical stage. This build adds more set dressing to the Mutant Control Centre. We take the interior and base of the cylindrical attachment and fit the pieces together, with the ring top slotting into 4 pegs. We then fit the cylindrical attachment onto the base, whose holes are unevenly spaced so it only fits one way, a simple push fit. Next, we take the wider pipework piece and fit the pegs at the end into the holes in the base. Turn the assembly over and secure it in place with 2 screws. Repeat the process with the narrower pipework. Fit it into the base and then screw it in from underneath. And that's all. A fairly brief one, but a few more detailed pieces added to the control unit. Finally, issue 22 looks at part 3 of Remembrance of the Daleks, the 1988 Sylvester McCoy story in which Imperial and Renegade Dalek factions battle for possession of the Hand of Omega. The Time Vortex outlines the various encounters between the 7th Doctor and the Daleks, including audio ventures like Enemy of the Daleks and We Are the Daleks, as well as comic strip appearances. The build continues to add more set dressing to the Mutant Control Centre. We take the interior and the base of another cylindrical attachment and push fit them together, adding the ring on top to the connecting pegs. We then fit this attachment to the base, with the uneven hole arrangement ensuring it only fits correctly one way. Next, we take another of the 2 container and pipework pieces and fit them together with a screw. And then we don't do anything, because there's no second wall piece to attach them to. So, that was a slightly undramatic shipment after such a packed one last time. Issue 23 looks to bring the next neck wall and connector piece as we continue building around the control center. One thing we've noticed in this shipment is that the images accompanying the instructions are now CAD models rather than the physical model, which is slightly alarming because it's much more helpful to see the physical model that you have rather than a 3D representation of it, which potentially hasn't been made yet. So hopefully in the next couple of issues there aren't any problems with the way they think it comes together versus reality. Call a spade, yes, this one was rather light on. Let's hope next week comes with some nice big parts. Still, it was very cool to finally get the little mutant piece. He's a lot bigger than I was expecting, which really shows just how large this build's going to end up being. If you've enjoyed following this build so far, let us know in the comments below. Until next time.